One of the reasons we return to works of art is to find deeper meaning, or at least connections we missed before. And maybe the truest delight in that is making a sudden, unexpected discovery in that search. It's like finding gold in what you thought was only an abandoned mine. I bring this up because a few years ago, while watching the movie Goodfellas for the umpteenth time, I came across possibly the most dramatic scene in the film, the murder of mobster Billy Batts. And something happened after I played this scene over and over again. And what I discovered came completely subconsciously in the lyrics of the song Atlantis by Donovan, featured so prominently in the film. You see, on the surface, the song is just a period-appropriate piece for the movie. Atlantis was a hit in 1969, so it would have been playing in a jukebox in Queens, New York around that time. But at some moment the light bulb went off in my head. I realized that Martin Scorsese didn't just put that song in, and those lyrics, just to set a scene and a mood. And then I saw the connection. I saw the connection to The Godfather.
What the hell is this?
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
When mentioning The Godfather Parts 1 and 2, I will sometimes refer to them simply as The Godfather. I am fully aware that they were distinct films, but they are so often seen as part of a complete set. And 2, the third installment of the saga, came out late in 1990, after the release of Goodfellas, so I strongly doubt it was referenced at all. By 1990, Martin Scorsese had slowly but inexorably built a reputation among the front rank of directors. If he had died before the release of Goodfellas, he would still have been acclaimed by at least some as the greatest director of the previous 2 decades. This is why we have to view Goodfellas in a different light. For years, I saw it only superficially and tangentially connected to The Godfather. The Godfather is like the grand opera take on the crime genre, with exquisite lighting, slow and deliberate pacing, punched up with occasional jolts of violence, incomparably styled acting, and nearly Shakespearean-level dialogue. It aspires to a kind of grandeur that belies its modest origins. Goodfellas is intentionally grittier, more like a folk opera. Its subject matter stays closer to the street activities of lower-level gangsters. This includes the character of Paulie Cicero, who was based on a Coppola in the Lucchese crime family. He was a local leader, but not a top boss. And of course, from a question of pacing, both films could not appear more different. The Godfather is legato, slow and unfolding, like venerable old tale one has to sit back and take in. That patience is rewarded, but one has to wait as the plot reveals itself. Goodfellas, by contrast, is all staccato. Its action is often fast-paced, sometimes frenetic, and rather than waiting for the next development to arrive, the audience is often chasing each dramatic turn. This is obvious from the very beginning when we have our main trio, Henry, Jimmy, and Tommy, in a car already in motion. They hear some strange sound, and within moments, our car is stopped, and our main characters are committing or aiding and abetting an act of violence. Contrast this with the iconic opening of The Godfather, which begins with the Undertaker Bonacera airing his grievances to Don Corleone. He speaks slowly and haltingly. There is no dramatic action happening here, only a wounded man relating his pain. True, he does describe an act of violence and its aftermath, but that is done in such an understated manner as to be engrossing, but not shocking. This is my own subjective contention, but Martin Scorsese could have made a film less connected to The Godfather. He chose to reference those films. He leaned in to show how the stories, the characters, and the themes could be so much alike, despite obvious differences. And I must emphasize, this video is my own speculation. Some connections between films may be merely coincidental and related to any movie trying to honestly portray the gangster life. So it is possible that allusions, references, or homages are only my own pronouncements and not intentional. But as I argue, a lot of it is very intentional and not coincidental. There are references to The Godfather in other Martin Scorsese movies, such as this quick visual from The Wolf of Wall Street to this reference in Casino, which clearly harkens back to earlier instances of discrimination.
That's it. I'm sorry. Mr. Rothstein, your people never will understand the way it works out here. You're all just our guests, but you act like you're at home. Let me tell you something, partner. You ain't home. But that's where we're going to send you if it hair lips the governor.
Now, the price for the license is less than $20,000, am I right?
That's right.
Now, why would I ever consider paying more than that?
Because I intend to squeeze you.
I don't like your kind of people. I don't like to see you come out to this clean country in your oily hair, dressed up in those silk suits, and try to pass yourselves off as decent Americans. I'll do business with you, but the fact is that I despise your masquerade, the dishonest way you pose yourself and your whole family.
A work of art can use what it learns from the past, but it must not hinder the originality of the new work. Thankfully, we don't have this problem with Martin Scorsese. His cinematic vision is so distinct, and by 1990 so well crafted, that he is comfortable showing his influences. Francis Ford Coppola is not the only director he references, and yet no one confuses Goodfellas for another film. I really believe Martin Scorsese wanted to pay tribute to the landmark accomplishment that was The Godfather. This is obvious right down to the nature of organized crime itself. It does not hesitate to present this link. The Paulie character is brought in to settle disputes, just as Don Vito would, albeit on a lower level.
And all they got from Paulie was protection from other guys looking to rip them off. And that's what it's all about. That's what the FBI could never understand. That what Paulie and the organization does is offer protection for people who can't go to the cops. That's it. That's all it is. They're like the police department for wise guys.
Then I said to my wife, for justice, we must go to Don Corleone.
Why did you go to the police? Why didn't you come to me first?
One of the most delightful scenes in The Godfather is the interplay in the kitchen. When Clemenza is cooking and talking to Michael, he is literally giving a recipe to the younger man in real time. This humanizes a cold-blooded killer, but also reminds us that the crime family did not only commit crimes. Goodfellas has several scenes of cooking. Some are rather domestic, but the one where the wise guys are in prison is classic. They turn the joint into a kitchen and make their own meals. Again, it adds a human layer to people who would normally only terrify you, and it makes you hungry. That is not the only reference to food in these films. Toward the end of Goodfellas, Henry makes an explicit comment about how bad the food is in the middle of America.
Can't even get decent food. Right after I got here, I ordered some spaghetti with marinara sauce and I got egg noodles and ketchup.
The noodles and ketchup remark might seem generic until we remember the Frank Pentangeli one in Godfather 2.
Hey, Fredo, hey, what's with the food around here?
What's the matter?
Kid comes up to me in a white jacket, gives me a Ritz cracker and a chopped liver. He says, can of peas. I said, can of peas my ass. That's a Ritz cracker and chopped liver.
It is such a parallel construction as to be almost eerie. There are big events like weddings and funerals, and one does not have to know a gangster to have attended one of those grand weddings, like the one that opens up the first Godfather. It is an exciting introduction into the Corleone family, lasting nearly half an hour. The violence that we associate with the film arrives later. Instead, we acquaint ourselves with the family and learn details and plot, which will appear throughout. Goodfellas also stages a wedding, but it is much shorter and more consistent with its fast pacing. And since Henry Hill is not a top-tier gangster, his wedding to Karen is a smaller, more modest affair. Nonetheless, there's a connection to both weddings, and that is clearly deliberate. In The Godfather, the underling Paulie eyes the wedding purse, stuffed with cash, which is in plain sight for all the guests to see. He speaks his thoughts out loud to the camera to show its desire to take such a prize.
20, 30 grand. In small bills, cash. In that little silk purse. Madonna, if this was somebody else's wedding, sfortunato.
At Henry and Karen's wedding, Karen notices there is a similar purse, also filled with cash from the guests. Karen's question to Henry is more innocent, as she has never been to such a wedding before.
The bag.
What?
The bag. The bag with all the envelopes and all the money.
Henry's relaxed and smiling response clues us in that he knows that no one would dare steal a wedding purse from a group of gangsters.
That's an infamia.
Some references are much smaller and almost made in passing.
I'm gonna wind up being declared an MIA. They're gonna find me in the back of a car somewhere in the weeds.
Or when Tommy says,
"Last week he asked me to christen his kid."
They don't use the term Godfather, but that is what a Godfather does, be present at a christening. There's a deleted scene from The Godfather 2, where a young Clemenza talks about the hard life of regular folks, and it gives a window into why someone would risk danger in prison.
You put in so many hours of hard work. And for what? You're just like my father. That poor man used to work over 12 hours a day in the subway. And in the end, he never even got to take a ride. Amica, come futti inutile. Ho trovato solo per me.
Henry Hill gives a similar rationale in Goodfellas.
For us, to live any other way was nuts. To us, those goody-good people who worked jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day, worried about their bills, were dead. And they were suckers. They had no balls. If we wanted something, we just took it. If anyone complained twice, they got hit so bad, believe me, they never complained again. It was just all routine, and you didn't even think about it.
Clearly there is a disdain by wise guys for regular working folk. From a technical point of view, the cinematic lighting has to be mentioned. The Godfather's incredible interplay with light and shadows has been famously noted by critics and fans and other YouTubers. It's supposed to symbolize the dichotomy of good and evil. One literally senses the shady underworld in the Godfather films. Goodfellas also uses lighting to refer to the criminality of its characters, though it's done a little bit more subtly. Characters are portrayed in shadowy light, especially if they're up to some bad, but the shadows are generally less extreme. Nonetheless, exaggerated lighting is employed, most famously when Henry, Tommy, and Jimmy have to dig up Billy Batts' body. True, the red light can be connected to the taillights of the nearby car, but the degree of red here has been exaggerated for effect. Red and hazy colored lights are often used throughout Goodfellas to suggest a kind of twisted and morally bankrupt direction. Now, these lurid red tones may indeed refer to classic horror films, particularly the giallo masterpiece Suspiria from 1977. However, Scorsese, in fact, might also be referring to the saturated cinematography found in his own films, namely Mean Streets and Taxi Driver. Both sets of screenplays are adaptations of popular books. Goodfellas, like the Godfather films, is a triumph of collaboration. Both Nicholas Pileggi and Mario Puzo had never written screenplays before. Each respective director chose to work with the original author to craft something that would excel cinematically. I believe the sensitivity and respect to the author added a texture that might have been otherwise missed. Oddly enough, this is one point where many emphasize the differences. The Godfather is based on a fiction novel, and Goodfellas is based on the non-fiction account Wise Guy. The reason, however, why that observation is incomplete is because The Godfather is at least in part based on real-life gangsters and events, while Wise Guy uses the techniques of storytelling to add a fictional feel. That, and also because the main narrator, the late Henry Hill, could be notoriously unreliable and could well have made up portions of his story. I am sure if I kept searching, I might find still more connections. Warren Scorsese is an artist who operates on levels I probably will never fully comprehend. The Godfather films change the way we watch gangster films, crime films, even the way we watch cinema itself. There would be more innovations and adjustments to the genre, but The Godfather represents an inflection point, and a fellow genius had to pay a sly but very sincere tribute. On that happy note, I might be ready to watch these films once again.
Business bad? You pay me. Oh, you had a fire? You pay me. Place got hit by lightning, huh? You pay me.
And if some unlucky accident should befall him, if he should get shot in the head by a police officer, or if he should hang himself in his jail cell, or if he's struck by a bolt of lightning, then I'm going to blame some of the people in this room. And that I do not forgive.
It's supposed to symbolize the dichotomy of good and evil.
The duality of man, the Jungian thing, sir.
You know, I can be trusted now, Paulie. I'm clean. On my kids, I'm clean.
That aside, let me say that I swear on the souls of my grandchildren that I will not be the one to break the peace we've made here today.
Oh, Henry boy, the pipes are calling. Sweetheart, half Mick, half Giddy. I'll sing with an Italian accent.
Well, let me tell you something, my Kraut Mick friend.